Hello, welcome to our July reviews. If you're new here, hello, my name is Raquel, as the name suggests, and every month I like to wrap up everything that I've read, seen, watched, listened to, been to, and talk about whether or not I enjoyed it and if I would recommend it, etc. And at the very end of the video, you'll also see my 1 second a day that I film. But if you can't be bothered to wait around for that, you could wait until the end of the year and see the entire year in the equivalent of 365 seconds, give or take. But let's talk about this month. This month has gone so quickly. I feel like I blinked and it's August. But let's talk about some of the things I enjoyed or did not enjoy, although mostly enjoyed this month. So to begin with, movies. I just saw one movie this month and that was the very last day of the month. It was the 31st of July. Is that right? Maybe it was the 30th. Either way, it was the Fantastic Four, First Steps. And if you're not new, then you will know that I've been watching Marvel for the last couple of years. I've did a lot of catching up, but we're more or less up to date now. And I had no idea going into this what it was about, if I was going to enjoy it, anything. But I had been told that it was a standalone, which was good for me because one thing I really struggle with Marvel is keeping track of all the different things. I would love to be in a Marvel project so much, but the amount of research I would have to do to try and catch up with what's going on and who I'm related to would be wild. I would do it, but it would be a lot of work. Anyway, all this to say, I did really enjoy the film. It was easy to follow and it just had like a nice feel to it. So yeah, that was a success. Then didn't really get round to any TV shows this month, but I did read a number of books, so let's talk about those. The first one was Happy Place by Emily Henry. I really enjoy Emily Henry's style of writing and a few of her other books, and so I'm kind of just trying to get my hands on all of them. I enjoyed this one. It was sweet, as all her books are, but it was nothing special. It was just an easy read, very light, but it didn't feel, groundbreaking or major or super intense or anything like that. But I did still enjoy it. Next, The Understudy by David Nichols. If you probably know the name David Nichols because he wrote One Day, which is a gorgeous book that I love, and I think it's also been adapted into a TV show recently, which I really want to watch. And so everything about this book was so exciting to me going in. David Nichols, set in a theatre with an actor as the lead, like, yes please. I cannot tell you how hard it was for me to finish this book. I was so relieved when I was done with it. And it's interesting because my mum, who's a doctor, often says that she can't watch like doctor TV shows like The Good Doctor or Scrubs or anything like that because she finds it infuriating. And I've always understood, but also been like, just put it aside. But reading this book, oh my goodness, I got it. I was like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. The main character was so unlikable. And he was complaining and everyone around him was complaining about the fact that he was an understudy in the West End. And I'm just like, do you know how many people would kill to be an understudy in the West End? Like, shut up and let me take your role. Oh, it was so infuriating. This was probably my least favorite fiction read since, I don't know. I don't know since what. I don't remember ever reading a book that I disliked this much that was fiction. So I struggled with it. But this was before One Day, so like maybe that's also, maybe David Nichols' writing style improved over the time. The sun's really coming out and it's very bright. Maybe I should shut this blind, hang on. Oh, that's really good. Well done, Raquel. You really know how lighting works. I need to kind of sit here, but then you've got a line, I don't know. Deal with it. If I use the computer to light me, whatever, it's fine. We'll make it work. Next, I read a non-fiction, which is called Can't We Just Print More Money by Rupal Patel and Jack Meaning. And I was really excited for this book because it's very much the kind of question, like I don't understand anything about economics and I often, especially as a young child, asked like, why don't we just print more money? And I still don't fully grasp the concept of money and economy. So I was really excited to read this book and it was interesting, it was easy to read, which it very much could not have been, but I didn't actually feel like I learned all that much. It was kind of just explaining different bits of information that I already knew. And I guess in a way it was nice to have that all collated, but I didn't feel like I got to the bottom of the answer of... I feel like what they tried to do was make it easy so that anyone could read it, but by doing that they made it too easy so that you don't actually get the answers. But maybe I need to reread it and just like look deeper or something, I don't know. But again, I did enjoy it and it was you know, an easy-ish read, which it might not have been, and especially after the understudy, I needed something easy. Next, I read Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is now my 4th book that I've read by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I love her books. The first one I read was Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which just, oh, so beautiful. Then I read Daisy Jones and the Six, which was also so beautiful. Then I read Malibu Rising, which I did enjoy, but not as much as the other two. And then it was this one. And one thing, anyway, that I loved about this one that I don't think I realised until I started reading it was that it was set in the tennis world. Evelyn Hugo is kind of, you know, movie world, movie stars, Hollywood, that kind of thing. Then Daisy Jones is music industry. Malibu Rising is kind of like modelling / surfing / just Malibu wealth. But then this one was tennis. And if you've been watching me at all, especially recently, you will know that I love tennis. And not just that, I think I started reading this maybe a week after the Wimbledon finished. And so it was so nice to like go from this like missing the tennis to then being able to be immersed back into that world. And I really felt like I was watching it by reading. It was so well done in terms of that like immersiveness, I guess. And that is something Taylor Jenkins Reid does very well. And it's so easy to read her stuff, I find. Carrie Soto as a main character is very unlikable as well, but less so than the one from The Understudy. And I feel like there's more of a reason, like you can understand why she is the way she is. But it's interesting because a lot of her traits are exactly the reason why I like the tennis world, because most people don't have those traits. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. But as I say, it being set in the tennis world definitely gave it that up. And then finally, I read Animal Farm by George Orwell. I had read this, gosh, how many years ago? At least 10, I think. And I've been curious to reread it. And it wasn't overwhelmingly good, which I guess I was expecting it to be. I don't know why. I just thought it would, you know, really wow me. But I think that the first time I read it, I didn't have such an understanding of the Russian Revolution and everything that happened after. And the annoying thing is, there was a semester when I was in school that we studied the Russian Revolution, and I wish I'd reread this then, because then everything would be completely fresh. This time, I have the background information, but it's definitely like a lot of it I'd lost, and after I finished reading it, I sort of Googled and tried to find the different allegories. And I really enjoy sort of the way that George Orwell did it, but it wasn't obvious enough to me, but only because it's been years since I studied the Russian Revolution, and that's my own fault. But I did enjoy it, again. Now on to musicals. I saw 4 this month. Yay, I've been doing so good with musicals. I love it. So first of all, one that's been on my list for a very long time, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I went in knowing very, very little. I thought it was sad and moving, but when we got to the theatre, there were posters saying exuberant and joyful, and I don't think that's right. It was so sad, I thought. But it was gorgeous and it was moving, and the way it was done was beautiful. The actors were also the musicians, and I always love it when they do that. And there was a lot I really enjoyed about it, but it just was not at all exuberant. That is not a word I would use for it. Next, oh my gosh, what's happening with this light? Oh, I don't know what to do. We've had to change the angle a little bit, but hopefully we'll manage like this. So next I went to see The Great Gatsby, and I was quite reluctant to go see this. In fact, my sister was not begging me, but really wanted to go see this, and I kept saying no, 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 no. And then we didn't go, and then a couple of weeks later my cousin came and she decided she wanted to go see this, and I said, sure. Now, there was a whole story involved with seeing this, which I've documented in my vlogs, and was just a crazy experience and so exciting. So already that emotion is sort of attached to the musical. But you know what? I really enjoyed it, and I've been listening to a lot of the songs since I saw it. It was just fun and big budget and impressive singers and dancers, and it was just, I enjoyed it. I did read the book again a couple of years ago, but I don't remember basically anything except that it was set during the summer. But I get the feeling that even at the time when I read the book, I must have listened to it or read it, but just not paid any attention to it. I feel like I got to the end of the book not having a clue what just happened. So going to see it kind of felt like my first interaction with the story. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Next, I went to see 35mm, which I don't even know how to describe. It's not quite a musical. It's not quite a song cycle though. I don't know, but it's music I've listened to for the last few years, and to get to see it was very exciting. It was good. I really enjoyed it. And I feel like that's all I have to say about it. It was nothing special, nothing overwhelming, but I enjoyed it. And then the final one was completely spur of the moment, but I am so glad I went, and it was Evita. I had amazing seats for this show at a very decent price point. I love the music of Evita, I have for many, many years, but I haven't listened to it in a long time, so hearing it all again was already amazing. Rachel Zegler was so captivating. I didn't necessarily agree with all the choices Jamie Lloyd made, but I could appreciate them, and it was so well done. I was just beaming the entire time. I loved it, and I would happily go back. And I do feel that way about Great Gatsby as well, by the way. Not that I was beaming the whole time, but I would happily go back. But Evita especially, I do feel more strongly that I would want to go and see Evita again. Next, I've got 3 different food items. I met up with Sam from the Dear Hopefuls channel, as well as Katie Rebecca, and she brought over from America a couple of things. But actually the only American food of these 3 was the Swedish fish, which I don't think I'd ever had before, but I enjoyed them. She brought 2 different packets. There was the regular Swedish fish and then the like Fish and Friends, which had something watermelon flavoured and I think strawberry flavoured. Very yummy. Next, Katie Rebecca brought Candy Kittens Eton Mess flavoured, and they were so addictive. I really enjoyed them. And finally, when we went to the movies, I bought a bag of plain Doritos, and I think I'd forgotten what Doritos taste like, even the plain ones, but I enjoyed them. Then for travel, very vague, I've just got North Wales, because that's where I went to meet the Dear Hopefuls, and it was just a lovely area. It was wonderful. And finally, for other, I've just written Wimbledon, as in the tennis. I just love tennis. And then my song of the month, this probably was different in the last few days of the month, but for the rest of the month, definitely Lost in the Brass from Band Geeks. I have been listening to this song and trying to sing it so much. I mean, I first heard this song also years ago, but then I've not listened to it or heard it in years, and so I suddenly found it back. It was in my head one day, and I just listened to it, and I was like, this is a great song. I love this. Thank you for sticking with me if you've made it to the end, and for dealing with the lighting, because that was not ideal. Although this camera setup kind of works for me. We'll see how I feel about it when I'm editing, but I would be happy to do this again. And I will see you all in another video very soon. But before that, as I said earlier, you can stick around for my 1 second a day for the month of June. Bye!
I've just passed 11 kilometres.